Okay, we're going to look at polynomial long equation first today, but before we do that, first I want to review the steps from just regular long division. So I'm going to put up a post-it note here and just kind of go through the steps. So let's say that we are going to divide 986 by 2. So the first thing that you would do is go 2 goes into 9 4 times, because 4 times 2 is 8, and that was the closest thing, and then you subtract 1, bring down the 8, you get 18. And then we see how many times 2 goes into 18, or in other words, what would I take times 2 to get 18, which would be 9. 9 times 2 is 18, we subtract, and then we bring down the 6, 2 goes into 6, 3 times 2 is 6, and we get 0. So our answer is up here, 493. To check our answer, 493, we would multiply by 2, which gives us 986, and we can check. Okay, so let's go look at how this process works when you're dividing polynomials. So the big long polynomial in the front goes inside your long division box, and you want to make sure that you're leaving space for your answer up here. So we have a cubed plus 15a squared plus 48a minus 56. And then we have a plus 7 out in front. So the trick to this is to look at the first term of both polynomials and to make sure that they're in descending order. So I'm going to ask myself, what would I multiply by a to get a cubed? Now remember, this is a to the first power, so you'd need times a, which is a squared. And that goes above the term with a squared in it right here, the 15a squared. Then I multiply a squared times a, which is a cubed. A squared times 7 is 7a squared. And we're going to group that to do our subtraction. So it would be a cubed minus a cubed, so those go away, and 15a squared minus 7a squared. So we're subtracting both of those. So it's 15 minus 7, which is 8a squared. Then I will bring down plus 48a. So a goes into 8a squared 8a times. So if I take 8a times a, I get 8a squared. To separate these two terms we have up here, we're going to put a plus sign. So 8a times a is 8a squared. 8a times 7 is 56a. And then we will subtract that. So 48 minus 56 is what we're doing, because this will cancel. So we'll get negative 8a, and then you bring down the negative 56. So I ask myself, what would I take times a to get negative 8a? We get negative 8. So negative 8 times a is negative 8a. Negative 8 times 7 is negative 56. And then we're subtracting these, which would actually change these to plus. So I'd have a negative and a plus here, which gives you 0. A negative and a plus here, that gives you 0. So it all zeroes out, no remainders, and this is my solution. So in the examples for this video, there will be no remainders. I will make a new one when we get to remainders. So let's look at the next one. So we're going to set up our long division. N to the 4th plus n to the 3rd minus 22n squared plus 24n plus 18. And we will divide by n minus 3. So we always start with the first term of this polynomial and the first term of this polynomial. N goes into n to the 4th, n cubed times. N cubed times n is n to the 4th, and n cubed times minus 3 is minus 3n cubed. And remember, we're going to group and subtract this, which is tricky because n to the 4th minus n to the 4th, it cancels. That's okay. But then this is minus a negative 3n to the 3rd, so that actually means plus 3. So I'll have 1n cubed and another 3n cubed, which makes it 4n cubed. And then we'll bring down minus 22n squared. So n is going to go into 4n cubed plus 4n squared times 4n squared times n is 4n cubed, which is what I want. 4n squared times negative 3 is negative 12n squared. And remember that I'm subtracting all of that. So 4n cubed minus 4n cubed cancels. Down here I will have minus negative 12, which makes it plus. So negative 22 plus 12 is negative 10n squared. We bring down the 24n. So n goes into negative 10n squared. Negative 10n times, and negative 10n times n is negative 10n squared. Negative 10n times negative 3 would be positive 30n, but we're subtracting. So that changes this to plus, and that cancels. And that changes 24, and this will be minus 30, which makes it negative 6n. Bring down plus 18. So n goes into negative 6n, negative 6 times n is negative 6n. Negative 6 times negative 3 is plus 18, and then if I subtract everything there, it all zeroes out, and we get 0. Here's my answer on the top. So we're going to do one more for this video. None of these will have any remainders. And I'm sorry, I think I went off the screen a little bit, so let me zoom out to show you what was happening at the bottom there. So I took negative 6 times n minus 3, which gave me negative 6n plus 18. I subtracted, and everything zeroed out. So I'll leave that there for a second. I apologize for going off the screen. Okay, if you need more time, pause the video. I'm going to go on to number 3. So we'll set up our long division. The first number is going to go inside the box, and the second problem is going to come out, or the second polynomial, excuse me, will come out here. So I'm asking myself on each of these, how many times will x go into 10x squared, or what would I take times x to get 10x squared? Well, it's 10x, and where am I going to put that? I want it to be above the x's, because it's also x, so you put it above its like terms. So 10x times x is 10x squared. 10x times 6 is 60x, and that's positive, but we're subtracting. So it's 10x squared minus 10x squared, and 50x minus 60x, which is negative 10x. And then I bring down the negative 60. So x goes into negative 10x minus 10 times. Negative 10 times x is negative 10x. Negative 10 times 6 is negative 60. Subtract it all. These would become positive, which will cancel out the negatives. And you end up with a remainder of 0. And my answer is 10x minus 10.